Welcome to Kick Back with Chris. Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast.
Hi guys, Chris here again. It's time for another episode of Kick Back with Chris, and this week I'm going to be joined by not only regular co-host Matthew Chapman, but also Steve Lawson, UK-based film director and somebody I've had the pleasure of working with multiple times over the years. I sat down with him after a quick meeting that we'd had. I was actually on my way back from the Leicester Martial Arts Gathering. Steve very kindly invited me over for a quick catch-up and a meeting, so I thought I'd take the opportunity to have an interview with him, and to give my new portable equipment a try out. So that was all good. So Steve's actually my first in-person interview. But before we get to that, I just wanted to go through. It's actually just a short roundup of things that I've come across over the last week on the internet. Actually, just on this point, before I do go through this, people have, it's very cool, but people have started to tag me in posts on Facebook on my personal profile, which whilst does get the information to me, it does have a tendency of ending up getting buried in all the other sort of day-to-day social media and Facebook things. So if you have an event to promote, I'm absolutely more than happy to help you out with that, within reason, obviously. But if you could not, rather than tag me in the post, if you could actually message me the details, or even better still, go on the podcast the podcast Facebook group. Although you could go through the website, I guess, with an email. But go on the podcast Facebook group. So if you search for Keep Back with Chris Martial Arts Podcast on Facebook and post it in there, it just means that I can sort of collate things a lot easier rather than having lots of tags, because people tag me in it and I think, oh yeah, I'll get to that, and then I have to then sieve back through hundreds of notifications trying to find the tag. So yeah, rather than tag me in it, drop me a message or Facebook group or email. That would be great. So starting off, we have on November the 11th, we have the BLCC Aero Kick Back in the Brum. I like that. Back in the Brum Ring Light Continuous event. So this is taking place on Sunday the 11th. Sunday November the 11th at 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. So full on day there, as most tournaments tend to be. It's taking place on Bissell Street Highgate, which is in Birmingham. So yeah, light continuous event. If you want any more information on that, if you contact Mr. Neil Kelly on Facebook, again, I will put the details in the description, so you can go check that one out. Next, we have another tournament on the 4th of November. So this is a Vulcan Sport Karate Club, which is based in Hull. This looks like, I'm just looking at the poster now, it mentions on there point sparring, continuous, and all the rules are listed on the poster itself, so you can go check that one out. Again, I'll put a link in the description for this one, and that one's on the 4th of November. And there's actually a phone number on there. It says 07972 051 660, so you can give them a call if you want to have some more information on that one. Next one, we have co-host himself, Mr. Matthew Chapman. He's going to be holding a seminar at Ronin Martial Arts in Leicester. If you want some more information on that one, the date is Saturday the 20th of October. These seminars are always really popular for good reason, because Matt's pad work is absolutely brilliant. If you've not seen it before, either online or in person, I do encourage you to go check it out. But the number for more information is 07929 793 529. So give him a ring, and that's John Reed that's going to be hosting that one at Ronin Martial Arts in Leicester. So get in touch with them there. So before we go on to our regular catch up with Matthew Chapman, I just wanted to go through this week's talking point. Now, this is one that people have brought up a few times on the forums and just in messages and in conversation in person, and I think it's one that a lot of instructors do come across. And I'm sad to say it's something that we've noticed more and more over the recent years. It's just a sort of a shift in the way society thinks, I think. But the one whereas people are now more and more, I'm seeing anyway, starting to treat black belt as sort of like the end. And having students carry on past black belt now, I'm finding personally, no matter how I'm changing up content or offering different training options, it does seem to be becoming a more difficult thing. My opinion on it, my thoughts on it, I think it's sort of just the way that society is now. We're very sort of course orientated. People like to collect certificates and qualifications, and it there's very much this feeling of, once you get the certificate, once you get the qualification, as people see it, that is the end. For me personally, the way that I've always tried to encourage this, especially in younger students, is that passing your black belt test is a little bit like passing your driving test. All the way through those driving lessons, whilst you are learning how to control the car, you're not really learning how to drive, so to speak. You're learning how to use the vehicle safely, and you're going through all the movements in order to pass the test. But then once you've passed your test, and you get out on the road, and you really start, adventuring and going out further to different places. That's really when you start learning how to drive. All the little, I remember, little things like passing my test and then trying to figure out how to park on the drive, because I'd never done that before, and that was a completely new challenge. And passing your black belt is a little bit, it's the same. You spend years and years, and I'm not going to get into how long it should take to pass a black belt. Me personally, it took me 10 years. I know nowadays, even in my school, it's nowhere near that amount of time, and sadly, it's much, much shorter, but that's a conversation for another day. But however long it takes you to get to black belt within your school or your teaching practice, that's almost like you're an advanced beginner, so to speak. But once you become a black belt, that's when you really start to learn about the art, about yourself. You're able to focus on new things. For many styles of martial arts, the journey through to black belt, there's a lot of syllabus, there's a lot of training requirements, and there's a lot of continuous growth. And when you become a black belt, that, for me anyway, that growth doesn't stop, but it changes. You're able to focus on specific areas a little bit more. You're allowed to find out which areas you enjoy more. Maybe you want to go down the tournament route, down the teaching route. Maybe you want to move to develop and learn different things. But it's, for me personally, I found that becoming a black belt was really the start of my martial arts journey as such, and the learning, that's when the learning really started. So if you're a student out there and you're training at the moment and you're thinking, I'll get my black belt and then perhaps I'll take a break, don't do that. It's just the beginning. So keep with it, keep training hard. Get yourself on seminars like some of the ones that I've mentioned, already in this today and in other episodes. And by all means, do get in touch. We've got a vast network now of instructors that contact the show and do work with us, and look into other opportunities, new things to learn. There's so much out there, and enjoy the process. I was thinking about this the other day about my training, and it'll be 20 years next year since I began my journey as an instructor full time. 20 years. It's crazy to think how fast that has gone, and it makes me sound really old. But it's, and I feel I'm still learning. I'm still getting out there. Very recently, very, very graciously, one of our fantastic local instructors in the area, Mr. Matt Price, as I'm sure many of you know, it allowed me to go to his school and to take part in one of his classes with one of my students. And that learning process never ends. And we're always students, even as instructors. At least I think we should be anyway. So yeah, hopefully that out there, that helps somebody. If you've got any questions on that one, any feedback, or you disagree even, that's fine. Get in touch, let me know, and we can talk through things, and it's always good content for the show. So we're going to go to a quick break now, and on the other side of that break, we're going to be catching up with Mr. Matthew Chapman. Get those notepads and pens ready to get learning, and I'll catch you on the other side.
You're listening to Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast, brought to you by www.onlinekicking.co.uk.
Okay, guys, so joining us on the line, as we're always every week, we've got Mr. Matthew Chapman back to chat with us about, I should call it by its name, shouldn't I? Chit Chat with Matt. I like that. I don't even care if you
get
like
it right.
I just like it. It's brilliant. Now, Matt's with us on the phone, giving us his time very graciously to talk to us all things business and martial arts related. How are we doing today, sir?
I'm very, very well, thank you. And you?
I'm good. I'm great, thanks. Nice, stress-free week for a change, actually. So I'm. So what we're gonna touch on this week?
I just wanted to talk about the three types of martial arts business as I see it. I've kind of categorized them into three types, so I thought that'd be an interesting topic today.
I'm thinking what those three types might be now and where I fit into that. cool.
Well, you're about to find out.
Oh, here we go.
So yeah, so in my opinion, there's three types of martial arts business. There's the hobby business, there's the lifestyle business, and then there's a performance business. And it's very important to understand that each type of business requires a different skill set. It requires a different level of investment in terms of money and time. It also requires a different kind of mindset. So if you try and run a performance business like a hobby business, you're going to go out of business very quickly. So It's important to understand where you are and what the skills are needed for each area.
Okay. Hobby, lifestyle, and performance. Cool. All right. So how would you sort of differentiate them then?
I would consider a hobby business as a martial arts school where it's not the owner's main source of income. They have another job. And they just kind of teach on the side because it's their passion, and it's a hobby, and it gives them stuff to do, and they enjoy sharing martial arts. So basically all their sort of financial resources come from their main job, and on the side they have this extra class, which is really good, which is a lot of martial arts schools in the UK. Most of the smaller schools are run as hobby businesses.
Okay.
For the lifestyle business, so that's when maybe the hobby business is starting to take off and the instructor thinks, wow, I'm enjoying this. I don't want to work in McDonald's anymore. I can teach martial arts and build a business and live the life I want to live, which essentially for most martial artists is teaching and training. So they then transition their hobby business into a lifestyle business, which requires a little bit, a much higher level of skill in terms of learning how to run a business, how to do the financials, how to do your marketing, how to set up your systems and run it like that. So you can't run a lifestyle business like a hobby business, because a hobby business, you can, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You find another hall or you close it for a bit. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect your life. A lifestyle business, your income is dependent on making it work. So you need better set of skills. You obviously still need the same coaching skills, but you also need the business skills to come up a level or two.
Okay. And then performance.
And then a performance business it can be a lifestyle business that's transitioned, but it's a business that is no longer are you the main coach teaching, no longer are you doing the management. Like in a lifestyle business, it's quite common for the head coach to be teaching a lot of the classes and mopping the mats and doing the marketing and doing the admin, and you kind of created yourself a little job there. With a performance business, you're removing yourself from that, those roles, and you're the owner of the business. You might do a little bit of coaching, but you generally employ other people to do all the other bits like the admin and all that, so that your business can perform at a higher level, employ more people and free up your time.
Cool. So I suppose the main point, one of the main points to really consider before looking at these is all of those. There's nothing wrong with any of those, but what is important is that you kind of recognise where you're at and work appropriately to the level.
Yes.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
I think I'm sort of floating between lifestyle and performance. I'm sort of in that in-between stage of I really shouldn't be doing some of this anymore, and I know I shouldn't be doing this anymore.
Yes.
But letting go of doing this is an issue, which is something I need to work on, and I appreciate
that. No, it's
that.
all martial arts are like that. We're control freaks, that's why.
It's just some of us are just more freakish than control freaks. But no, that's really cool. And I suppose what's interesting as well is that I suppose with some people, they'll move up and down that scale at different points within their career, shall we say. They maybe start out as a hobbyist, go all the way through to performance level and think, I want to do other things now, take it right back to the hobby level, and interesting.
Absolutely. I've spoken to a lot of martial arts instructors recently who have done that. They started teaching a few classes a week and got very popular, so they started teaching full-time and quit their other jobs to teach martial arts, and then it got even bigger and they started taking on full-time centers and multiple centers and satellites and all that, and it wasn't for them. They didn't enjoy just owning the business and not actually being involved. They missed being on the mat, they missed the nitty-gritty, doing all that sort of work. It's far more profitable for them, but that wasn't the motivation enough for them. So they went back down to lifestyle business and kind of made it a bit smaller and a bit more manageable, and they could still be involved in the day-to-day side of it. So there's no right or wrong. You just have to be aware that the skills you have to run a hobby business don't translate to a lifestyle business, and the skills you have for a lifestyle business don't really translate to a performance business. You'll need to increase your skills, increase your knowledge, increase your expertise to do that. Otherwise, you're going to be in danger.
Yeah, and that's something that we all come across a lot, especially with social media, the way it is now. People do tend to share their issues and not issues, where they're at, shall we say, with their business on Facebook a lot more readily now. And a lot of times you'll see people maybe in the hobby position, they'll say, I want to do this, but I can't do it. And you think, well, you can. As you mentioned, it takes a certain amount of knowledge, and you've got to go out and learn, but it also just takes that self-belief to go, I'm going to make this work. And take that. I think that's the scariest part. I remember that. I don't. I was a bit silly in that I just took a building on with no members and thought, well, I will make this work. And thank God it did. Thank God it worked. But it's for anybody out there that is listening now that is in a position of maybe you're teaching 2 or 3 times a week and you want to go full time. Look, if I can make it work. Anyone can make it. Honestly, it can. It's. I suppose it's having
safer,
that self-belief.
However, I would advise it's safer not to do what you did and just take the jump.
Yeah, don't do that. That was silly.
Learn to fly as you're falling. It's much safer to upgrade your skills. Get a mentor who's already done it at a certain level of success. And learn what you need to learn before you then take the jump and transition. So keep your day job, build up your sort of martial arts club until it's almost at the point where it can take over your day job. You're earning sufficient that it can swap. And then with this new skills that you've learned, you can jump up a level. Yeah,
I suppose it is worth noting, to be fair, that at that time I had just come from working for 2 of the arguably the biggest numbers-wise schools in the country. So I was day to day, 6 days a week. I was around the classes. I saw all the processes.
You had exactly. You got training on the job to learn how to run a martial arts school. Yeah,
I didn't really fully understand and appreciate the actual logistics of running a business, but I knew how to run the bit, if that makes sense. I knew how to run the floor. From them coming through the door to enrolling and carrying on, I did all that. I just didn't have a clue about business rates or any of that sort of stuff until I didn't even know about planning permission. Didn't even know planning permission was or change of use was even a thing until I moved into the hairdressers, and then the council came knocking and went,
weren't hairdressing.
This isn't the hairdressers anymore. No, it's not. What does that matter? Oh.
So, like most martial artists, we kind of jump and then we work out what to do on the way down. But look, it worked out great for you. I would just advise everyone else to don't do that. No, take baby steps towards your dreams and upgrade your skills, because you're not going to be able to turn a hobby business into a performance business where you're the owner and you oversee the business, but you're kind of not involved in the day-to-day running of the business. You won't be able to do that with that skill set. You have to upgrade your skills.
And I would think as well, back then, this is 2002, 2003. So I kind of, it's still not really an excuse, but I couldn't jump on the internet and find the information quite as readily.
No, true.
Now, information, there's not really any excuse to not know what you should know.
Exactly.
You have to go and find it, absolutely. But I would say now that the biggest issue for most people is going to be that there's so much more going on now. There's more activities, more martial arts schools. There's more of everything, and you've got to sort of make yourself stand out from that.
Yes. Well, yes. Well, maybe we can talk about that in the next podcast.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm getting good at doing that now.
Leading on to the next one.
Well,
cool.
Thank you for your time again today, sir. Enjoy the rest of your day, whatever you're doing, and we'll catch up next time.
Cheers. Thanks.
Thank you.
Enjoy our podcast? Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review Kickback with Chris on iTunes today.
So thanks again to Matt for his time. As always, very, very valuable information for any instructors or school owners out there. It's a good start point, is that, for anybody looking to upscale their school, looking to go from being part-time to maybe a full-time centre, or the other way around, maybe somebody who's had a full-time centre for a number of maybe even decades, and looking to scale things back. It's always a good starting point, really, to be able to analyse your business and see where you're at, and then you're better able to make the decisions that you need going forward. So, thanks for Matt for coming on to the show, and we'll look forward to speaking to him next week. And as always, don't forget, if you've got any questions for us, please do submit them. So then we're able to sort of collate those, and we'll sit down with Matt when we're recording, and we can go through those and hopefully get some help out there to people that is needed. So, moving on to our interview now with Mr. Steve Lawson, who very, very, very kindly gave up his time at the weekend for a quick chat. As I say at the start of the show, I've known Steve for a number of years now. I've had the pleasure of working with him a number of times too. And it was great to sit down with him and talk about old times, talking about how we both found our passion for martial arts movies and cinema. So I'll just cut to a quick break, and then after that we'll go straight into the interview, and I'll speak to you on the other side.
You're listening to Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast, brought to you by www.onlinekicking.co.uk.
Okay, so joining us now, we've got Steve Lawson, who's very kindly agreed to let me try out my new equipment on the go. Obviously, up until now, we've done nearly everything Skype, so this is my first in-person interview with Steve, which is quite apt, really, because he gave me my first break in film, so... we can have a chat a little bit about that way back when. That was a very, very long time ago. We might say how long ago anyway. But no, I thought it'd be cool to get Steve on to chat about his love of filmmaking, martial arts movies, and going back. I think the best thing probably to do is to go back to the start. What was it that first got you into martial arts movies?
Probably it was, like a lot of people, it was seeing the Jonathan Ross interview with Jackie Chan in 1989.
Wow, okay, cool. I remember that.
Because I was always into filmmaking, and so I watched that. It was called The Incredibly Strange Film Show.
Yeah.
So I watched every episode, but for some reason the Jackie Chan one was the one that struck a chord.
Yeah.
And
That's cool.
Straight after that, I just had to track down every Jackie Chan film I could find.
Which was hard.
Yes.
Which was so hard. I remember getting VHS copies. What did I find? It was in a petrol station. One of them I found I couldn't find anywhere. Was it Fearless Height? I can't remember, but I remember I've been looking for it for ages, and it was in a petrol station in Doncaster of all places. But now anybody from back then can empathise with that difficulty. So, were you self-taught, or did you have some martial arts training or anything?
Oh yeah. Because of getting into Jackie Chan movies, I then got involved in training. I was doing taekwondo.
Of course, yeah.
And I did gymnastics.
I didn't know about the gymnastics.
Yeah, well,
really?
Because back in the day, there was nobody that was teaching film martial arts or anything like nowadays. So I had to join basically a little girls' gymnastics club, this sort of thing. So
I've got the image now.
Yeah. Luckily, I wasn't the only boy in there, because I was only like 14, 15.
Right.
But yeah, I did kind of.
Wow, that's so cool.
In. So yeah, so that's why I learned. Basically, got a lot of flexibility from doing that, and I could do kip ups. And I could do, obviously, basic stuff. You could
spin around bars, I've seen that.
Yeah. And so I was not too bad.
Excellent. I didn't know about the gym. I knew about the martial arts, but I couldn't remember off the top of my head whether you'd had the classes or whether you would. Many of us did at the time, just learn in the garden. I certainly did that to start with.
When you're a kid, you think, when I grow up, I'm going to be the next Jackie Chan. So I was doing all this stuff, and then obviously reality dawns later on.
Well, I've seen some of the early things. So, touching on that, obviously, did you have a passion for filmmaking at the same time, around the same age, or did that come because I know you were actively making your own short films and things even?
Yeah, the filmmaking came first. Right. Always been obsessed by films for as long as I can remember, my entire life, even before this. Yeah. Okay. So I was always making films, and then it was just from that point on, I was making martial arts films instead of other things.
Yeah, because some of I remember seeing, you showed me some of your earlier stuff, and you've used some of the footage as well, haven't you, in things before. I remember, some of the stuff you did is actually quite dangerous, really, when you look back on it. If you think about it, was there was something where you span around something? I know there was something involving a car and something else. I remember. When you did, and was it Dead when you were getting dragged behind the
a van.
Yeah.
Well, again, because I thought I could be the next Jackie Chan, so I was doing the one you're thinking of. It's I was being chased by a car and I jumped up onto an overhead bar, and
That's right.
Like it was a bit of Operation Condor, swinging out the way of the car. Yeah, well, I was young and I was quite fit and able to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought I could be the next Jackie Chan, but unfortunately, I'm terminally lazy. And I just because you got to do. What do you mean? If I'd have kept at it, and kept in shape and probably had my teeth fixed and had a few nips and tucks, maybe. But I was just too lazy to carry on doing all that stuff.
But no, I remember being quite impressed by the one when you literally, what was it, bits of cardboard and stuff in there.
Stuffed in my trousers.
And then got dragged by a van while somebody filmed it. It was quite impressive, really. So at what point did you decide, no, actually, I'm going to focus on the filmmaking instead of chasing the ambition of being in the films as the action star?
Probably just seeing myself, because after years of doing the taekwondo, I did a bit of traditional kung fu, and just found that because I'm 6'4", and the stances and the movements and that kind of, they don't work when you're that tall. You look like an idiot, right. And there's no point when you're 6'4" white guy trying to do like Jackie Chan kind of moves. It doesn't suit the height and the body shape. And
sorry for killing your dreams right now, folks.
And also I did have some health problems as well, which made me stop training. But just generally, no. I think you grow up and you realise you're not going to be a movie star, but maybe. And also, I was doing theatre directing and acting stuff at university, and I found I was better at the directing than I was at the acting. And so that's why I went down that.
Okay. Yeah, and obviously we, as many people already know, we share a love for Hong Kong cinema. And what? How did you first get into that? What was the first film? Do you remember the first film? I remember my first film that sparked my interest. Do you remember which film it was and when?
Well, the first one I saw after seeing the documentary with Jonathan Ross, the first film I got was Police Story.
Yeah,
so
that's a good start.
Yeah, you can't really get any better than that.
Yeah,
as an introduction.
Mine was the wrong way around. I mean, I'd seen films, but I hadn't really twigged. And the most that I'd been sort of experienced or exposed to was the little bit parts that you do, like in Cannonball Run and stuff like that. I
must have seen Cannonball Run. I know I had, but obviously didn't register at the time.
That was the first thing that I'd seen, and I didn't really, I'd seen Western stuff. I'd seen like Karate Kid and some of the John Club and that. But the first Jackie Chan film I actually sat and watched was Rumble in the Bronx. So I was late. So it was quite cool in that respect, because I saw Rumble in the Bronx and then went back.
You had the whole back catalogue.
Yeah, to enjoy. I went through everything. Whereas you were the other way around, and so I've always been waiting for another Rumble in the Bronx. I think it was a great first film to get in on, but he's never really made another film like that since. Because he was quite an angry. He's going out to hurt people in that, and he's not really done that since. So anyway, live in hope.
I think there was a different attitude to the fights in those earlier films that seemed to disappear in the later films. Yeah. It all became about, no, I don't want to hurt you, sorry, running away, rather than just going out and hitting people.
Yeah, so Police Story, and then because did we? I mean, obviously, I wasn't watching them then. Did we get them in sort of chronological order, or did we? In the UK, did we get them in sort of a bit of a back to front order of releases?
In those days, it was fairly. You just got them. They came out in the right order. But obviously months after. I mean, from my point of view, it was more a case of tracking down all the back catalogue. Because even then, when Police Story was out, there was all the early 80s and the 70s stuff around that you could find, but you had to really dig for it.
It was Drunken Master 2, there was the one I couldn't find.
That never got released.
Yeah, I got the VHS. I got a VHS copy of it. It cost me £20 on eBay, and it was just a VCD copy that somebody transferred to video, and it was awful quality, but I was so happy I got this film that you couldn't get.
It's because that was at the time when the American studios got interested in Jackie Chan and started buying up all his films.
Right.
Because obviously that was just before Rumble in the Bronx, but it was about that time. Before then, there was a steady stream of them coming out. They used to come out on a label called American Imperial or something.
Yes.
And they would always come out. But then once American studios got interested, then they bought up all the films. and then you couldn't get them, or they came out in the wrong order, or they come out years later.
Years later, in the case of Drunken Master 2.
Yeah, Thunderbolt you couldn't get for years.
Yeah. I remember that was randomly on Channel 4 or something.
Yeah, it never got released. It just was on TV.
I remember, like, at the time, it's on now. And it's subtitled. Get it, record it quick. And it's just randomly on TV. Cool. So, moving on now to the martial arts movie side of thing. When you decided to try and start making them in the UK of all places, was that tricky to start with, finding people and?
Yeah, well, it was the very early days of the internet. So you could just about find and get in touch with people, but it was way before social media.
Yeah.
So it was just random oddballs that you found.
Like me on Jackie Chan forums posting videos of myself.
Yeah, as I say, random oddballs you could find.
Hey, I was young and desperate.
Yeah.
But no, it's and do you think obviously you were working at the time, weren't you, as a videographer? Were you working at
no, not at first. When we first started and we had our first collaboration, I was just in a regular desk job.
Oh, right. Okay. Didn't realise that.
In fact, I went part-time when we were in post on Insiders, which was our first sort of attempt at making a film. I went part-time thinking, this is my film career kicking off here. I'm going to go part-time on the desk job and do the post on this film, which of course never went anywhere.
Mm. Wow. I didn't realise that. Cool. So what... Obviously, you just mentioned Insiders there. That was the first bigger one. But before that, obviously, we had the short films. And actually, what's really cool is, I was thinking back on this, actually, on the drive over, the amount of people that were involved in those earlier shorts that you shot. Quite a lot of them now have gone on to big things. When you look at some of the names and people that were involved in some of those early shoots, because there was nobody else doing anything really. When we were all trying to do our own things on camcorders that we were picking up from Currys and stuff. It wasn't the same, and I think that was a sort of time where obviously it was expensive, but things was just starting to change, weren't they? It was starting to become a little bit more affordable. And obviously nowadays everything is very different.
Digital editing was still fairly new. Not many people were doing it.
Yeah, I remember having the VHS-C camcorder and hooking it up to the editing with the pause and play and recording. Those were the days. So then moving on from there, that was the next. What did we work? Was it Silencer? Was how many years after that was there was
a couple of years.
Yeah,
we started because I think Insiders was 2002 and we started the Silencer in 2004.
It was quite a big step up as well, wasn't it? I mean,
yeah.
I personally, I felt, if you've not seen it out there, guys, you should go and look it up because it's definitely worth what I think. Not just because I'm in it, but I think it still stands up. It's really good film.
There's some really good action in that.
Absolutely.
It's better than anything I've shot since in terms of action because we had big stunts.
Yeah.
We had people going through windows and all sorts and motorbike crashes, which was accidental, but we got it filmed, so we put it in.
Of course, I forgot about that. Of course, man, and some of the best stuff was accidental. In fact, the first thing that I worked on you with in Doncaster, I want to say 2002. I think it was 2001 or 2. And I got hit in the room and I got hit in the face with that stick and smashed. I've still got a hole in my face from that. The slightly wonky nose. What was that for? I can't remember.
It was just for fun.
I thought it was. I can't remember. I thought it was for something.
I think it was for that Jonathan Ross TV show. Which they never used it.
Yeah. Their loss. It was good. It was a fun little thing.
That's something I can't talk about.
Even though I got hit in the face, and then we had to keep that in. That hurts. That was a wake up call to the dangers of working in films, martial arts.
Doing fight scenes with weapons, don't do it.
No,
because it's when you got weapons that people get hurt.
And do it with somebody who knows what they're doing. I don't know. I don't speak to the guy who's working. If he ever listens to this, it was very easy. All he had to do was hit the stick into my hands, and you somehow managed to miss my hands and hit me in the face.
I can still picture the foot. It slipped over your fingers. Probably a bit of a sweaty hand or something. It slipped and straight into your face. Yeah, I can still picture that footage. Yeah.
And I remember somebody said, "Oh, that's good. That's good effects. It's not effects. That's my face." And I had a green and purple face for about 2 weeks afterwards. In fact, I wasn't allowed to go to work for the first couple of days because it looked so horrific. They wouldn't let me teach the kids' classes. The big green face.
It's not a good advert for the club, is it?
Really? Come and learn from this guy that can't defend himself. Cool. And obviously since then, I mean, I think it was not long after the silence, because obviously I don't think people appreciate that. It's not a case of you make the films 2 weeks and then come and buy the film. There's a long process involved, and it's sometimes it's a very frustrating process. But obviously it wasn't long after that the sort of martial arts movie scene in the country sort of started to go on the decline, didn't it? And less films were popping up. And was there a reason for that, or do you think it was just?
I don't remember it being so much of a decline, but it was never that big in the first place. It was us doing it and about 2 other people, and that was about it. So naturally,
I don't know. It just felt to me that there was a period where there was a lot going on. There was something every year, at least one, if not 2 things every year that had some sort of martial arts content in, and then all of a sudden it went. But
I think there was a downturn in independent film, because certainly from our point of view, we were shooting on like mini DV back in the day, which was at one time an amazing, fantastic invention. And then with something like the Silencer, we took it as far as you could go as mini DV into trying to make it look cinematic and all that kind of thing. And then you just couldn't get anything any better. And then a few years later, the DSLR started coming out, and then suddenly independent filming rocketed, because suddenly you could shoot stuff that looked like a real movie. Yeah. And that's when it all took off again. Yeah.
Well, hopefully it carries on. There seems to be a bit more interest in the minute. Do you think you would like to return to that side of thing? Do you really like to make another The Silencer Part 2? Even quieter still.
Not The Silencer Part 2, but yeah, I'm desperate.
Still silent.
I'm desperate to make a martial arts movie, because all the ones I'm seeing nowadays are so unsatisfying to me. Yeah. They just don't have the magic of the old 80s films.
I know what you mean. I've found when I got here, have you seen this? Not watched it. Have you seen this? I've not watched it. I don't know what it is at the minute. I don't, and it's not. This is not saying anything bad about anything anybody's making, or even bigger budget stuff. Doesn't seem to be that excitement at the minute. I remember even way back when, I can remember when Ong Bak first came out, and the hype behind that. It was like, have you seen this? Oh, you've got to watch it. And there doesn't seem to have been anything since. It's like they hype it up in the trailer, then you watch it and you kind of go, yeah, seen all that. It's been done. So there's not, who is the next Jackie Chan or the next Tony Jaa? They don't seem to be coming through. I don't know if is that just a change in attitudes, or is it just too many people now, or the market wants different things. People aren't prepared to put time in.
I think there's loads of talented martial artists and choreographers out there. So, like we said earlier, when you go on YouTube and you find these groups that are making these short fight scenes and things, there's some amazing stuff that's really, really good. But it doesn't seem to be translating from going beyond there into actual proper feature films. The action you see in the proper films is just uninspiring. And do you think is that just, I don't know, the people in charge not thinking that's people won't want that, or is it just time, budget? Is it why? It's definitely time and budget's got to come into it, because that's the thing I learned when you go from, like when we did The Silencer, nobody was getting paid. We were all just doing it for the love of film, and it
was an enjoyable process.
And we didn't mind spending 20 takes to get a really cool bit of choreography done.
Yeah, that's right.
But now I'm shooting stuff on a tight budget, and you're paying everybody a day rate. You cannot spend half a day getting one shot. There just isn't the time, and and even on it's no different from doing small budget independent films to massive big Hollywood movies. Yeah, you can't spend ages and ages getting a really cool bit of choreography or something. It's much quicker just shake the camera around, have a sound effect.
Yeah, because the industry kind of went through a period, didn't it, where the Matrix and things that came out, and people were really latching onto the Hong Kong cinema style choreography, but everybody was trying to do it, and then it just seemed to revert back to what it was, though, this nice tight shot and shake around.
It's hard work, isn't it? That's the problem.
Yeah, that's it, I suppose. But no, I suppose you live in hope. You've got things like John Wick, the John Wick franchise. I don't know what you think about that, but it was a bit. I liked it. I like them. I think they're good. I'm actually looking forward to part 3. I think in part because Mark Dacascos is in it, and he's a bit of a underutilized player. I think is certainly somebody that isn't used enough. I don't know if you share that opinion on that, but you're thinking,
yeah, I mean, could have could have been a big star. I don't know why he is.
Why? Well, exactly why not? I mean,
he was doing kind of A-list movies back in the early 90s.
Yeah, because he went through a period. He did. What was it? Cradle to the Grave? Was it?
No, before that, but he was
did
Double Dragon and
the
Capoeira one. Those were kind of
Only the Strong,
borderline A-list movies.
Well,
they're not. I never watched them, but
do you not? You never watched them?
I was already into Hong Kong films. Any American martial art films in those days.
You should. Yeah, you should give. Well, you watched Drive, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's great. They were trying to get Drive 2 off the ground at one point. I remember reading, but he's some. Yeah, so I'm hoping that they're going to give him. I would imagine they have. I believe he's playing the sort of lead villain, so that would be good to see him getting used properly. Not that his acting isn't being used properly, but I would like to see him in that sort of martial arts role and show him what he can do, because he's still very good from the bits he puts up on Instagram and things like that. So very cool. So what's next then? What that you can talk about?
Well, as you know, the most recent film, a couple of films back, we did a film called Essex Heist.
Yes.
Which not a martial arts film as such, but I managed to shoehorn
a
fight scene into it just because I wanted to.
Yeah, well, because you could. Yeah,
and, and as it happens, that film was the most successful film I've done and was very popular.
Oh, congratulations!
So just to fill people in, since those days that we were talking about before, I've kind of become known for doing horror films.
Yes.
Just because as a low budget filmmaker, that tends to be the genre that you get asked to do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we managed to shoehorn a fight scene into Essex Heist, and because it did well, I'm now sort of putting together a project which will be an action film, which will have fight scenes in it. I'm just speaking to various producers at the minute to try and get it off the ground with a slightly more decent budget to make it viable. And hopefully,
fantastic.
That will be the next thing.
Hopefully, I get offered a job. That'd be cool. No, joking aside, it's great. It's great to see. I mean, what you mentioned before about the silencer, that was to date probably one of my most enjoyable experiences working in film, because as you say, it was, we were involved and we all pitched in and all did little bits. Somebody out with this and then somebody out with that, and it was a good vibe. And even the scrapyard guy was good.
Can't talk about him because who's at the CIA will hunt us down.
Funny. Well, thanks very much for your time today, Steve. That 20 minutes has absolutely whizzed by. If anybody's interested in finding out more about yourself in the studios, where would be the best place to go?
The website is www.creative-studios.com, and that's creative spelled without an E on the end.
Okay.
And we also have a YouTube channel, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc.
So you go check him out at all those places, and maybe when the film's shot and ready to release, we could get him back on. We can have a chat about that. Exciting times. And thanks again, Steve.
Thank you.
You're listening to Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast, brought to you by www.onlinekicking.co.uk.
Thanks again to Steve for his time. Really fun. Had a really good time catching up with him, actually, and just chatting through, all things martial arts, kung fu cinema related, as well as, possibilities of working together in the future, which is always really exciting. So moving on to next week's episode, and actually all the next sort of run of episodes. Now, for the next episode, we've actually got number 20 coming up, which has absolutely, I was saying to my wife the other day, and she doesn't actually listen to these, and says it all really, doesn't it? But no, I was talking to my wife about it, and even she was surprised, like, episode 20 already, that has come around so fast. And, chatting to a few different people, thought about, do something special for episode 20. So if anybody has any ideas, please do get in touch. Obviously, I've got a couple of weeks to try and plan this one. But no, if you got any ideas, any guest ideas, or you want to be on here yourself, then please do get in touch. Likewise, now that I'm able to get out and about on the road with the kit, if you've got any events coming up, or you just want to have a chat, if you've got something that you feel might be interesting for the show, again, get in touch. You can contact me at the website, which is Kickback kickbackpodcast.com. Alternatively, you can also get me on my email which is chrisjonestkd@gmail.com, or old-fashioned way if you want to, my phone number, which is 07802 889 391. You can also get us through the Kickback with Chris Martial Arts Podcast Facebook group if you just search for Kickback with Chris. Oh, and also I forget, we're also on Twitter and Instagram now as well. So if you go on there and you search for Kickback with Chris on either Twitter or Instagram, you should find us on there as well. More so with the Twitter stuff, if you can share when we're posting the shows each week. The number one best thing that people can do to help right now is review and subscribe on iTunes, and the number two, arguably number one, as in some people's eyes I would say, is to share the links for the shows as well, to get the news out there. I get so many really nice emails and messages from people saying how much they enjoy the show, and the biggest thing that I like to stress to them is please go rate and review it. Rather than just tell me how much you like it, tell the world how much you like it on there, and as well just share the links, just share them like crazy, just so that we can keep raising the stats on those numbers of listeners and keep pushing forwards. So yeah, any ideas for episode 20 for the next show, please do get in touch. I might be coming bending your ears soon anyway, trying to get you on the show. Be cool to get, might be cool to get a number of guests on for episode 20, or even the theme, a suggested theme might be a cool thing. But yes, I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll chat to you all very soon.